is it now 32 albums?
Around that, yes, yeah.
That's a lot of albums.
Well, it's a lot of experiences, lots of being in touch with people and cultures and whatnot. And one of the things, Mr. Moses Ash, he's the man who gave me my opportunity years ago. I met him in 1956, and my first album came out in 1957. So next year will be the 50th year, okay?
And I understand, let me jump in here for a second.
Yeah.
I understand that that was in New York. You came to New York and you had a little demo record.
That's right.
And you were on your way to meet him, and you ran into your friend Odetta.
Yes.
Did that tell me what she said to you? What she said?
I told about that. There's a possibility of making a recording. She said, make sure they mention getting royalties. And I hadn't even thought about that.
Yes, looking out for you. Looking out
Yes.
for you. And so.
And I think she said something about, and if you're writing the liner notes, you should get paid for that too.
Well, we're laughing about it, but that's for so many artists. That was, they got really ripped off. I mean, really ripped off. So that was very good advice.
Well, because I guess what happens to a lot of young people when they get into this field, they're so anxious just to have something on a disc, or that they forget all the other things.
So when you sat down with Moses Ash and he went off and listened to the demo, and he came back, as I understand it, and he was ready to sign you up.
Well, yeah, actually, and I didn't read all the fine print, I don't think. But anyway, he said, I didn't know exactly what, just like I was telling you about the restaurants. You don't know exactly what the response is going to be. So he was there looking, shaking his head. This came out and he said, you've got some good ideas, and pointing to a possible recording. He said, but you need to expand it a little bit more, maybe add a little more songs and this and that and what. He says, but when you think you've got a lot together, send me some material and we'll put out a nice recording for you. Okay. So anyway, the first recording was 10-inch. Well, the 10-inch LP. And so I went down, it was called Call and Response, Rhythmic Group Singing. So I had to try to figure out what I was doing. So someone said, make sure, a man named Kenny Goldstein, he was the one who was a friend of Moses Ash, and he's the one, you take this, this demo but give it a title that you think represents you, okay, and at least 4 songs that represent what you think you're going to do. But anyway, so when this came out, I went downtown to some of the record stores, and I said, well, I wonder if you could put this in your window. So he said, well, a 10-inch LP, this man said, is not a good demo, marketing thing. You should have a 12-inch. And he said, but what I'll do, I'll try to build something around it. He said, now, I'm a musician, too, and I just have a new album out. He says, now, I'm going to see if we can work out something together. He says, and he gave me a whole list of stores. He said, I want you to call these stores and ask for my record. And then he says, now I'm going to find some teachers' stores and whatnot for your Antico. And so in each case, they said, this is a second call. This is the third call we've had today. We'll be having this in. So I thought that was a pretty good idea.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
your target market was educators, was schools.
Yes.
And so we're not talking about Moses Ash talking about, we're going to make you into a mega star.
No.
And, all the rest
In
of
the educational, oh yes.
And so that first album, you got it together, you figured out, and the call and response became like your signature.
And you know, and I was inspired seeing people like Danny Kaye, Cab Calloway, but also listening to some early folk ways music, African and Haitian music, where they did a lot of call and response chanting. I mean, didn't know what the words meant or anything, but this was and then listening to a lot of songs, gospel song in churches where, because a lot of call and response goes on in churches, black churches. Yeah. Yeah.
Why is that call and response so effective in working with children?
Well, because I think when they're trying to learn something new, when they're trying to grasp a new idea, a new sound, a new chant, this, if they can repeat it and then they repeat and they're listening more carefully,